maybe people are interested about your background. It's okay to ask you that your background, that does it affect to working in Japan and working in the UK as well? And yeah, you are Malaysian Chinese, and but born in UK, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does it affect slightly in when you're working in Japan or UK, or the kind of mindset that because you're kind of part of us in a way, Asian culture, that somehow you descended by your parents or grandparents. Do you feel that? あ、ちょっと待って、日本語が。まあ、ビクターさん自身がアジアのバックグラウンドなので、マレー、中国人なので、なんかそういうもそのバックグラウンドが何かしらその日本で働いた時とか、イギリスで働いた時とか、もしかしたらそのサブコンシャス、無意識に何かしらその、お父さんお母さんから影響を受けたものとかあるのかなと思いました。最後のちょっと質問で。はい。
Yeah, I think that without realizing or thinking about it, it probably does have some kind of impact. I can't really speak about other people's backgrounds apart from my own. So I'm sure everybody has a different background and everybody's affected by their own background.
うん。
まあ、無意識的に、まあ、多分、なんか影響があると思いますが、でも他の人の背景が分かんないから自分の、経験しか言えませんので、でもきっとみんなそれぞれなんか違う個人の背景とかがやはり影響があると思います。Yes, I am Malaysian Chinese, but I have a British passport and I'm born and raised in England. So I don't know about China or Malaysia's actual education system. The people that grew up around me and also my parents, there's this blend of two cultures. So it's difficult. I don't think it's very good to kind of assume people will be a certain type of person based on their background. で、僕がまあ確かにマレーシアン・チャイニーズだけど、イギリス育ち、パスポートもイギリスだし、ずっとイギリスですけど、でも、確かに両親がマレーシアから来て、でも、一緒に周りの友達も、ほとんどイギリス人で、だからこういうなんか文化のミックスがありますが、でも、それでも、こういう背景とか、こういう環境とか育てられたから、このような人になるとかを思ってはいけないと思います。I think everybody has their own kind of way of thinking, but also because I've worked in Japan, maybe my mentality towards work has changed as well without knowing, or has been affected. And I think the more people you meet and the different cultures you interact with, you will be influenced and you'll change, no matter what. で、僕が日本で働いて、いろんな日本日系企業で働きましたが、もしかして、僕の、考え方も影響されたかもしれませんが、でも、やはり、誰でもなんかいろんな経験があって、違う文化とか違う人と働くと、またさらに影響されると思います。
Okay. All right. Shall we move on to the question time? You okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I've a question about this culture clash or differences in cultures. In Japanese, it's very difficult to say no directly. For example, if I said to you, what do you think of my proposal? Can we go forward with it? And you wanted to say no, in Japanese, you'd probably say, oh, it's a bit difficult, or I'm not sure, I'll think about it, which means no. But in German, perhaps maybe you'd just say no. ドイツと日本の異文化に関してね、ドイツは結構はっきり、ノーとか言う。でも日本語はあんまりしない。例えば、この提案どうですかって、もしこれがダメだったら、大体、これ難しいですね。または、後で検討します。でも、no という意味ですね。でも、ドイツ語は直接に no、ないは言うけど。
他に質問ありますか? Is there any question or?
So Victor-san, thank you for your talk today. It was really interesting. In Japan, I guess the idea of 終身雇用, I don't know the direct translation in English. So once you enter the company, you have to work until you got aged over 60 or 65. That is still common even in these days. And there are many who consider that it is not good that you leave the company on the halfway. But actually now I am thinking to change my workplace, or actually in last several years I've been thinking to make my master degree, but everything is not fixed yet. But the question is, so what is the best way? So shall I tell my bosses that I am having an idea to leave the company maybe in near future, or is it better not to tell until I fixed everything? What do you think?
日本
OK、
語、
日本語。
日本語が、僕が言います。終身雇用が、言いますひろあきさん。日本語でお願いします。
今日はありがとうございます。ちょっと質問は本日のお話とはちょっと離れるんですけれども、一般的な質問というところで、日本だとまだまだ終身雇用っていうのが一般的な価値観としてあって、60、65歳になるまで一度就職したら働くのが一般的だっていうのが考えてらっしゃる方が多い中で、やはり中途で退職するっていうのをよく思わない方もたくさんいらっしゃるわけなんですけれども、私自身はここ数年ずっと大学院に行きたいなと考えていて、で今もいろいろ考えているところなんですけれども、まだ一切何も確定はしていないんですが、現状でそういった考えを持っている、いずれ会社を離れるっていう考えを持っているって、あらかじめ会社に言うべきなのか、それか全て決めてからもう決めました離れますっていうタイミングで言うべきかっていうのをどっちがいいのかなっていう。
なるほど。ビクター先生。
はい、I'm not a career advisor, so I don't think I should be answering this question. But if it was me, I think first of all, I would make sure that in my mind I know what I want first. Then the next thing is if I decided I definitely want to do my master's or leave, is to make sure that I get the approval from the other party that they said, okay, we accept you to this university or we accept you into this company. And then afterwards, maybe during that time, when I get that, give a hint to some employees thinking about, I'm not sure, but not saying directly. Then if I had this other contract or this acceptance from university, then I say, I'm going to leave. The reason why I would do that is because if I said I'm going to leave, but then I didn't get into university or the other job, I would have nothing. So that's what じゃあ日本語僕がアドバイザーではないですけど、個人の意見でしたら、もし自分の場合だったら、まずは自分の心の中決めて、はい、じゃあ辞めますとか、進学したいです。決めてから、で、次のステップは、その大学院の入学できるかどうか、それを確認して、でまたは違う会社からの契約とかもらってから、でその後はちょっとヒントとか出して、今の会社にちょっと辞めようと思ってる。で実際に100% 会社、違う会社からの契約が来たら、でその時ははい、じゃあ今の会社にはい、すいません、ありがとうございます、もう辞めますって感じですけど、でもアドバイザーではないのでただの意見です。
Yeah, I agree with that, Victor. 僕も同じ同意見で、まだ決まってないところで決めてしまうと、会社の方でも負担もかかるし、やっぱり全て決まったところで言うのであれば、ある程度余裕を残していった方がいいとは僕は思いますね。そうじゃないと結構、特に日本では会社に負担が。I think it's gonna be too much for the company if you're not sure. And I'm thinking about going to MBA or like MA. I think it's a good suggestion, but we got to think about the time. Like, is it 1 month in advance or 2 months in advance? But not like tomorrow, obviously. But not like 1 year, 2 years before, because you're kind of not sure, and then it's not really good. 2年前とかね、1ヶ月2ヶ月後とかね、わかんないですけど、1日前では絶対ない。 1年前、2年前に僕はこう MA に行きたいんだけどみたいなこと言ってると、ちょっと会社の方に負担があるなと思って。で、ちょっとMA のこととかで面白いなと思ったのが、特に日本ではね、会社を始めてから、勉学にまた大学に行きたいとか、なんかこういうことを勉強したいっていうのが、なかなか言えなかったり、ありえないことだったりすると思うんです。でも、なんかそこが結構日本の文化の中であって、僕の友達でいた人で、もっとモデルの人だったんですけど、宗教を勉強したいということで、もう大人になった後で仕事もした後に、で、ただ単にその宗教を勉強したいことで大学に行った人がいたんですね。で、そういう人って結構いて、で、なんでそのいきなり宗教を勉強するの何の仕事になるのとかいう話をみんなすると思うんだけど、それは、これ英語ですごい僕はいい言葉と思う、プラクティスっていう言葉があるんですけど、日本語ではちょっと訳せられない鍛錬とか、修行っていうとちょっとなんかね、厳しい言葉になっちゃうんですけど、宗教的な意味にもなるし、ちょっと修行にごく近いかなと思うんですけど、プラクティスという意味で自分を高めるという意味で、何かをするっていうことで、みんなそれに尊重して、こう支えてくれるっていう体制があると思うんですね。It's interesting in talking about MA, going to MA or BA after you working. It's very hard in Japan to change completely different kind of direction. I don't think so, but in English we say practice. I think we all can practice to improve ourselves. But in Japan, it's very hard to say, like, you started working or like 5 or 10 years, and then you started doing MA for completely different things. My friends started studying religion, and religion has nothing to do with work. It seems like, but I'm pretty sure it's something to connect it to your work in the future. But anyway, that's what they have to do. That's what they want to do. Well, that's what I want to do, and we can't really speak that. And I think we can respect what you really want to do right now, and it doesn't really matter if it's connected to the work or not, because that's what you really want to do. I think that kind of topic will connect it to what we talk about, because we can't say no. It's not because just a personal, how can I say, it's like it has to connect it to everyone somehow, everyone's opinion. Say like I'm working in a big company and I say, okay, I want to do some practice. I want to do retreat. I want to do yoga for 2 years studying. And like, what the hell, people will be like, what are you talking about? なんかこう、全然関係ないようなこととかを言うと、みんながアグリーしないこと、みんなが同意しないようなことを言い始めると、ね、何を言ってるのというようなことになってしまう、日本の場合は。ただ、その人が何をしたいかっていうことは、真実がそこにあって何かしたいっていうのがあれば、それを尊重すべきな社会だと思うんだけど、そういうものの体制が整ってないなというのを、すごく感じますね。
Yeah, I think that was a good question, and it does fit the theme. There was actually one thing I wanted to mention, which I forgot. So when in England, I said before that the connection between work and the company is just I go to work to get money. And the other thing is, what does the company think? It's in England, it's more like I'm buying this skill from this person. This person is coming and I get that person's skill, maybe their connections, but I'm getting value from that person. I don't expect that person to be here forever, but while that person is here, I want to use his programming skills. I want to use his language skills. That's what they're employed for. In Japan, the really long job hunting system, you go from university, maybe it's a 1-year process in university, going through 7 rounds of interviews, and then afterwards you join the company not because of your personal skills that you offer. In most cases, it's usually, is this person the type of person we think can stay and be our type of employee we want. We want to hire the personal skills, like is their working attitude correct? Is the way they dress, their manner, is it correct? And then hopefully when they enter the company, we train them into what we want, and then they stay. Okay? If that's incorrect, please tell me now. Okay, ちょっと日本語。で、イギリス、いい質問でした。で、イギリスの場合、言ったのが、仕事、労働者に対して仕事は、お金を得るために仕事をする。でも、逆の立場、会社側は、雇っているときに、 なぜ人を雇うというのかを、その人のスキル欲しい、その人のコネ欲しい、この人はプログラムができるから、だから雇っている。この人は違う言語を喋れるから、だから雇います。だけど、日本の長い就職活動システムで、大学、卒業する前に1年ずっと就職活動やって、1次、2次、3次面接、4次、7回、ずっと同じ面接からやって、なぜかというと、その人のスキルのためじゃなくて、その人の性格、マナー、その個性で、それを探していて、習って、で、入社してからトレーニングしてあげて、で、そうすると、なんかモデル、社員になるため、育つ。で、できればその人が、ずっと一生、同じ会社で働く。The mentality of what a company thinks an employee should be is completely different in Japan.
It's a little bit like a kind of mind controlling when you speak like that.
Yeah, it's kind of. And
マインドコントロールみたい。その最初に人を入れて、新しい新入社員でもうピカピカの新入生を入れて、なんだかわかんない人を入れて、で、それでこう、どんどん洗脳させて、ここがいいんだみたいな感じに洗脳してるようにも見えますよね。It seems like mind controlling if you...
Yeah, the other thing is that they add an extra element of fear. What is this fear? It's when you leave the company and you go to another company, any new employee will start from a base salary or, well, not all the time, but I'm just generalizing. The salary will be very low. So for example, let's say I work as a developer for 5 years and I want to work as a senior developer somewhere else. But perhaps if this was in Japan, they might say, no, you start as a junior and then you work your way up again like everybody else. It's not buying the skill and the experience. You said, no, we're going to reset you again. You have to be our model employee. And by making this base salary really low, you then have this fear of, oh, okay, I don't want to leave the company because every company is setting this low salary when you become a new starter. で、日本のもう一つなんか、恐れなんて言うんだ fear 恐れとか、恐怖の、気持ちとかを、なんて言うんだ押し付ける。それは、もしこの会社辞めたら、他の日系企業に移動したら、また給料が減る。ベースサラリーになってしまう。で、イギリスの場合、例えば、5年の、IT の、エンジニアとかでしたら、違う会社に移動したら、なんかシニアになってなんか給料がある。でも日本の場合、大体、5年でも何年でも働いて、移動してシニアのレベルにならない。ベースがまた下のレベルに入る。だから、給料もまた低くなる。だからそうすると、こういうずっと同じ会社に働くメンタリティが強くなる。一般的にね、全会社でもないけど、僕はこういうイメージあります。This is my image.
Okay, it's 90 minutes over. Shall we just ask them to, well, stay someone who wants to continue, or shall we just close for...
I could do a quick break.
Yeah, so thanks very much, Victor, for 90 minutes. And どうもありがとうございました、Victor さん。And each event, I want you guys to send info@rootsofbeing.com, whatever you feel. I want you to write down or maybe like drawing or whatever you feel like. I want analog. Send it to me, send it to us, info@rootsofbeing.com. So thank you very much. And we're going to have a 3 minutes break. If you want to stay, please stay. And yeah, we're welcome. Right. Thank you very much.
Regardless of thinking about what is the overall goal, okay? So then they might think, well, the process is fine. I don't need to change it. Let's continue. And that's why they don't adopt a new technology. It's only when something like coronavirus and something which they can't plan for happens, then they really think, oh, we need to change. For example, when Windows XP or previous Windows versions were no longer having service anymore, no more updates, that's when they kind of think, oh, okay, well, maybe we need to do the upgrade. Yeah, so I generally find that that's the case. After doing Japanese now. 日系企業はね、イギリスに比べて、新型、新しい技術、テクノロジーを使うのが、 割と日本よりイギリスの方が早い。日本が結構遅い。結構あるパターンは、まずちょっと様子見て、この技術はまず安全、他の日系企業を使っているかどうかちょっと見てみて、もしみんなが、使っているなら、じゃあ、導入してもいいかなというイメージで、でもイギリスの方が、この新しいやつの方が早くて、よりコストパフォーマンスがいいし、じゃあすぐ導入したいとか、で、そういう話がもっと早く進む。
It's something like they need to 確認, they need to reconfirm it. That's very slow. Everything that has to be, 顔を伺う, we say in Japanese, like to check their faces, check their expressions. So anything that to do with decision, they got to check first to everyone, and then majority of people say yes, then go without kind of, individual decision. So なんか自分自身でこう決定しないっていうのが常にまとわってて、顔を伺う、顔色を伺うとか、みんながゴーって言わないと、今回のそのね、COVID のこともそうだと思うけど、なんか全てがその遅いっていうのがあるかな。
I also think that it's kind of like that most Japanese companies aren't taking risks as much as they were before. I don't know if it has anything to do with like the bubble crash and whether the economy has a big impact, but it seems like there's a lot of less risk taking and trying to be as safe as possible. で、日本はね、なんかこれが不景気関係があるかわかりませんけど、でも最近の企業はそんなにリスクとか取ってなくて、できれば一番無難、安定している、選択をしている。Therefore, for things like new technology, that's why they wait to see what happens. But waiting is one thing, but you have to remember that usually implementing new systems for especially large complex companies takes a long time. So the long time to kind of actually say yes, and then to actually put it in, that's why it takes even longer. で、こういう、導入するのがもちろん時間かかりますので、だから、時間待ってて、ちょっと様子見て、なんか、じゃあ、今はいいかな。で、OK。じゃあみんな OK して、で、それはだいぶ時間経って、で、後で導入してもっと時間かかる。だから、結構遅く感じます。
Yeah. Yukina-san just posted the chat about the facts. Actually, I didn't know this. It's a long article, so we can't read that now. But it seems like the politicians they just very slow. They don't really wanna change it. So some people only have a fax. Maybe they don't want to take a phone call. Yeah.
There is so in Japanese, I think I might have mentioned this before. The word taihen means like a disaster or like bad thing. But when you take the individual kanji characters, the Chinese characters, it means big change, literally. So big change is taihen, which is a bad thing. 日本語はね、大変という言葉、漢字は文字通りに大きな変更イコール大変悪いこと。
変化ね。
ごめんね。だから、この変化が大きすぎると良くない。だんだんちょっとだけは変化したらOK。でも、大きいのはそれ良くない。So already the idea of change, the word seems to be like a negative thing. だから、変化という言葉自体がネガティブなニュアンスがありますね。
Yeah. What about Chinese?
Don't know. I don't know.
Sorry to ask you. I see. Change. Sorry, change in English is actually not so negative. I mean, could be positive. Mostly positive, I think.
It can be both. Change for good. I think it doesn't matter which culture you're in. Usually people have this idea of nostalgia where things were better before. But if you think about changes, like, for example, climate change and our attitude towards trying to reduce CO2 emissions, that change is positive. It's good. どんな社会でもどの文化でもこういう懐かしい 懐かしさがすごく強くて、で昔の世代、昔の時代の方が良かったなといつも思ってしまうけど、でも実際に考えれば、社会の、変化でいいこと、大体。例えば地球温暖化に対する、意見とかが、結構みんな強く意識しているから、それはいいことですね。だからそういうようなチェンジが実際にいいことです。
うんうんうん。
Yeah.